Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. On today's edition, we will look at the trades that happened as the deadline just occurred, and then we will go straight into the hurry up offense brought to you each and every week by Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services. And to close out the show, we take a look at the playoff picture as it stands right now. And if those teams, if we think they will remain in that position or not. It's going to be a fun show. It's the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez, and myself, as Dan Dembski cannot be with us today. It's going to be a great show. The Kirby on Sports podcast. It all comes your way right now. Once again, the Kirby on Sports podcast. I'm your host, Josh Kirby, and let's not waste any time. Let's bring in the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez. What's going on, my friend?
Oh, just hanging out here with Sophia, and I finally named Big Blue over here. Her name is officially Betty. So
Sophia and Betty, the two WWE belts for anybody listening on streaming platforms and not on YouTube. Two very pristine looking WWE belts.
well, listen, when you carry both these titles like one Roman Reigns does, they have to look good. So they got to look good when they're on my shoulders too.
Yeah. I agree with that, Carlos. So, Carlos, before we sort of get into the bulk, the meat of our podcast, because we're doing things a little bit differently today, the trade deadline just closed and a record 10 trades. I don't think all of them we need to get into, but like just looking through the list, just straight off the bat, what were your initial thoughts from the trade deadline?
I mean, to be honest, I didn't actually even realize today was the trade deadline until it was like 1 hour before it actually closed. And I was like, wait, why are all these trade? Oh my God, it's the trade deadline. I didn't even realize. So I don't really necessarily have any thoughts on it. I mean, some teams got better. Some teams got a lot of draft capital. Dallas didn't make any moves, but I mean, honestly, I wasn't really expecting them to make moves despite what Jerry Jones was saying. Kansas City moved on from one of our former starting defensive backs, but we were doing that so we could make room for McDuffie when he gets back. But I know right now the most livid fan base is probably Green Bay because they made no moves to help Aaron Rodgers out. So,
and we'll get into Green Bay later on in the show, but I mean that I'll tell you that Green Bay performance, and once again we'll get into that later. But I think the most shocking move, and I think this is because the Vikings are without a tight end right now, the Lions trading TJ Hawkinson in their division, which I think
that was the
is
most shocking move to me, though. I disagree. I don't think that was the most shocking move because it's just like, what are the Lions really playing for? The more shocking move to me was Chubb to Miami.
No,
because it's like Denver is not necessarily out of it, and they traded so much to get Russell Wilson. The fact that they then traded such a key piece away, despite them pretty much trying to go all in this season, really surprised me. But I mean, I could see the shock of Detroit trading to an interdivision opponent. Sure.
Yeah, I sort of meant like in their division, not really a big shock in terms of, oh, that was the top trade of the day as it was leading up to the trade deadline. But trading in their division, I think that's going to make Minnesota just that much better, all thanks to the Detroit Lions. But again, maybe that's not really a big issue, and the Lions are trying to retool, find something else.
When aren't they trying to retool and
Yeah.
rebuild?
Motor City
But
game
hey,
game
he gets to TJ Hawkinson gets to play Dallas twice in one season because he played as a Detroit Lion and now he's going to play as a Minnesota Vikings in a couple weeks.
Wow. Yeah, but
He's
Bradley
going to get ass
Chubb
beat twice.
Bradley Chubb, I feel like the Denver defense needed some help there, and I think he's a key addition to Denver.
I mean, he's definitely one of he was the guy once Vaughn left. So like the fact that they traded him away, in a way, it might be good business. You're trading him away before and getting the max value you can for him before he eventually ages out or whatever. Because I mean, I feel like he's been in the league for a while, but he's a good player. But yeah, Denver trading him away was very shocking, and maybe it means that they're giving up on this season. I just don't know, but um, again, they traded so much for Russell Wilson, and they have all these good players on the team. It's just it hasn't clicked yet, and the fact that they're already trading away players might not be a good sign.
I agree with that. So, looking at other notable trades, Naeem Hines to the Buffalo Bills. I mean, the Bills are looking very good. Another good running back could help them in the mix there.
Sure, I mean, you got Josh Allen, so I mean, it's more of just trying to get less like hits on because obviously Josh Allen's like the main running back right now also.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's more, and Himes isn't bad. He's a pretty solid running back. So it'll be more of just trying to get less hits on Josh Allen as the season goes on.
And with that trade, Zach Moss is in turn sent to Indianapolis. I don't really know much on Zach Moss. Did you really pay attention to that one or not?
No, not at all.
Okay. Moving on, I'm not really surprised about this one because Chase Claypool to Chicago.
I was surprised by the location. I wasn't surprised by the trade because there had been rumblings of him wanting out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I heard
was surprised
that too.
Chicago was the destination.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can agree with you there, but I mean, Chicago has been a roller coaster so far this year. I mean, they had that impressive win against New England, and
they didn't look too bad against Dallas. I mean, they were moving the ball on us.
Yeah.
We eventually asserted control over and over again, but Justin Fields looked pretty good.
Yeah, and
like, I believe he could.
Is just another weapon to help Justin Fields when he goes
he's
to throw
not
the
just
ball.
he's the only weapon, to be completely honest. That Bears team is not good in terms of like I feel like Justin Fields has all the potential in the world. I know, we've seen what he's capable of in college, but he just doesn't have anything really around him. So getting Chase Claypool, I believe, is the first step in Chicago possibly getting things right. It's just I'm surprised that they made this move because they were trading away all these key players, and now you bring in Chase Claypool after you just traded away two big defensive starters this past week.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out because,
well, they're definitely setting up for Fields and Claypool to basically, kind of come up together, right? Because Claypool's only 2 seasons in. This is Justin Fields' no, this would be Claypool's third season. I'm sorry, and this would be Justin Fields' second season. So like they're basically like right there with each other. So it's more of they're trying to build this. They're going to be like the main focus here, and then they're going to try to build around this connection between Claypool and Justin Fields.
Yeah. So moving on, I thought this was just hilarious. Because the suspended wide receiver Calvin Ridley
Who
gets
shouldn't be suspended for as long as he is, in my opinion.
well. Yeah. Besides the point, yes. Yeah, we all have differing opinions on that, but I think I saw on social
Hold
media.
on, whoa! Hold on. We can't brush over that because so you think he should be suspended this whole season for
Mm, yeah,
betting?
I don't have an opinion on it. I'm just saying,
Liar,
yeah,
you have an opinion on it. You have an opinion on it. Say it. What's your opinion? What do you think of? Do you think he should have been suspended for the whole season? Do I think he should have been suspended? Sure, but do I think it was worth the whole season while Deshaun Watson only gets 11 games? Do you think that's equal?
for well, okay, if you put it that way, a suspension, but for the whole season is, I mean, that's sort of overboard as in to comparison to Deshaun Watson.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying, though, is that like Deshaun Watson only gets 11 games. Originally,
yeah.
it was only 6 games.
No,
We
I
get to 11
agree.
games, and then Calvin really gets a whole season suspended just because he bet money on his own team to win.
Yeah, his own team to
That was
win, and I
against
believe it
his
was
new
against the
team. Yeah,
Jags.
against the Jaguars. He was
Yeah,
betting the Falcons to beat the Jaguars, and
that
now he's
was the point I was getting to.
I know where you were going with that, but I had to take a little detour there. It was when I saw that too, I chuckled a little bit. I was like, what a coincidence.
So I get, since I assume the league suspended him, he still doesn't get to play. So I'm not.
No, he will not play this season because the league suspended him. It wasn't like
Yeah,
the Falcons suspended him, but they decide. My guess is Calvin really just didn't want to come back to Atlanta. I think,
I think
and
that's safe to say too.
yeah, because it just didn't seem like he was having a good time there, anyways. Even before the suspension, he was originally like took time off for mental health reasons. So I just think he wanted out of Atlanta. He just wants a fresh start. He's super talented. He's young. And I think this is just the Jaguars just adding another piece for the future and to really set this team up because obviously they're not going to really do much this season. We see things go trending in the right direction. Getting Calvin Ridley, another weapon for Trevor Lawrence, who's still in the up and up and finally has a competent coaching staff around him, I think is going to really do wonders for him because he's already got Christian Kirk. He's got Zay Jones there, but now adding a Calvin Ridley, like a super talented guy, is I think going to really, really, really do wonders for them next season.
Yeah, I mean, if he stays healthy, keeps in shape, I mean, I would assume if he still wants to play, he'll be
Well,
game
he put out a
ready.
hype video, so it looks like he's ready to play. He can't wait to play. It's just again, he's got to wait a year since
Yeah.
the NFL is very inconsistent when it comes to suspensions.
Yeah. So, but other than that, just the one funny move was the fact that he got traded to the team he bet against. So, other than that, not really any I need to dive in on. I know William Jackson got traded to the Steelers from the Commanders. There were rumors that he wanted out. I mean, just low draft pick swapping for them for
Mm.
that. So, not really a massive move there, but the Commanders were able to offload some of that cap space with that trade as well, which was a really good move. Jeff Wilson to the Miami Dolphins, Jacob Martin to the Broncos, Rashad Fenton to the Falcons, and D. Marlowe to the Buffalo Bills to round out all the trades happening for the trade deadline. But I mean, other than that, I mean, not really many eye-popping, earth-shattering moves. The Bradley Chubb one was a big one, but there were no, like, massive blockbuster
Claypool was a big
trade.
one. Claypool was one that I looked when I saw the notification. I was like, "Whoa, okay." That one was
Yeah,
surprising, just because he was he's the number one guy there at Pittsburgh, and then all of a sudden he gets traded, even though there were some rumblings that he wanted out. But
yeah.
I didn't really see it happening, and to Chicago of all places.
Yeah, but I mean, the trade deadline is a lot better when there is a huge, massive
Yeah, again,
blockbuster
how
trade.
often? Look, this isn't the NBA. Like the NBA is where like the trade deadline goes crazy. The NFL, they try to hype it up that way that like things are going to go crazy, but the NFL is just so stingy when it comes to moving big stars that like
Yeah.
you just don't see big moves like that. Like, sure, we got Claypool, we got Chubb moving, but there was. It's just very rare that it's like the madness of like the NBA trade deadline.
Yeah, I can agree with that too, but I was hoping something more would come out of it to give us more to talk about, but
Eh,
that's
again,
what we have to talk about.
you keep falling into that trap that the NFL sets for you.
I
Like
know.
you're just a
I'm the
homer, dude.
trap
You're a
caller.
homer. You're a homer. You keep falling for the sales pitch.
I know it. I know it, and every single year it's like, man, where's the big move? But you know, but you are right there when it comes to the NBA, where everything happens the trade deadline. It doesn't really seem that way in the NFL much anymore.
It
Um,
never was that way though.
you
Like
know,
not much anymore. Like it just never has been that way. Trade deadlines usually are pretty uneventful, and people they try to hype it up. And you had Jerry Jones out here saying Dallas is ready to make a move if it makes sense, and then they had maybe like a 5-minute conversation with the Texans about Brendan Cooks. That's about it. But but again, a lot of us were not buying that Dallas was really going to make a move, especially trading away draft capital, which is super precious to the Cowboys
I agree
because
with
we
that.
draft very well. That's where a lot of our stars have come from. But and but there are some people that really fell for it and thought that, hey, Jerry's ready to go for it, and that kind of added to the hype of this trade deadline. Was maybe, what are the Cowboys really going to actually make a move here? Most of us were like, no, we don't. Like, we'll believe it when we see it.
Absolutely, but the trade deadline has come and gone. 10 moves were made in the span before the trade deadline hit. Carlos, I think it's time for the hurry up offense. What do you think?
Sure.
We'll get to the hurry up offense right after this. You're listening to the Kirby on Sports podcast. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram, or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. All right. It is that time in the show for the hurry up offense brought to you each and every week by Barrett Pest and Termite Services.
Bedbugs. The only thing creepier than thinking about them is actually having them. Trust me, you don't want to have them. Locally owned and operated Barrett Pest and Termite Services can keep you from having bedbug nightmares and infestations. Call 540-340-3922 to schedule your free inspection and consultation. If bedbugs are already in your home, we'll get rid of them so you can rest easy. We also specialize in keeping homes and businesses free of other pests, including rodents and termites. That's Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922.
All right, Carlos, let's start off with the Ravens' victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Carlos, there's a massive issue in Tampa Bay right now, at least in my mind. I mean, this Ravens team, I mean, they play decent from what I saw, but this Buccaneers team is 3-5.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know what you really want me to say. Listen, they had been playing at such a high level for the past 2 seasons. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl during the pandemic. They had a great season last year where they lost to the eventual Super Bowl champions, the Los Angeles Rams. Brady's 45, and obviously he's got stuff going on, and he's just not all in the way he used to be. In my opinion, he just should have never came back. I was talking to my buddy on Friday, and he doesn't watch football at all. He's not really a big football head, but he knows about Tom Brady because, of course, Tom Brady's the greatest. But he asked me the same thing. He was like, why did he come back? Like, he has nothing to prove. You won 7 Super Bowls. Like, you've done it all. Like, why did you come back? And I just feel like it's finally starting to catch up to him. I feel like he's finally starting to show that he's human, and that just the factor of everything going on in his personal life is probably hurting this team as well. And I don't know. Again, you can't keep these types of runs going forever. There's a reason why New England kept rotating guys in and out. They never really had, established stars aside from Brady there. And because it's just impossible to really keep that level up that they really demand. And I think the wide receivers have kind of let him down too. The Julio Jones signing has been an absolute disaster because the guy just can't stay healthy anymore. He never really plays. And even when he does play, he just doesn't make the same impacts as he did when he was in his prime. Mike Evans he's still one of the best receivers, but he's just having an off year so far. And obviously Godwin's coming back from an ACL injury, so he's not 100% the way he was before that ACL injury happened. Yeah. And the defense, for some reason, is also struggling, even though they started out the season fantastic.
We can clearly see how visibly upset Tom Brady is getting, and I can understand that. And I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna throw low blows out there, but the memes are circling around about this, the off the field stuff, and I just really think it's starting to affect him. And when that happens, when something like that happens, and it gets in your head, I think that really affects you in your day-to-day operation on how you do things as an NFL football player.
Sure. I mean, yeah, but that's just anything though. But
yeah,
for Brady, I think it's more of the reason why he also came back is because this is his escape. Football's been a part of his life for his whole life, essentially, and I think the whole thing of not having it was probably just it was just too much for him that he needs it. And I think that's also an issue that's happening right now, is that his escape is the reason why all these other issues are happening. And I just don't know. I don't know, but to put it plain and simple, Brady's just not playing at a level that we kind of expect from him. But the team around him also is starting to suffer from it, because I believe they're just not living up to the standards that Brady expects. So Yeah, but I mean, enough about them. I mean, the Ravens, though, I mean, they have completely bounced back from the rough start of the season. It was a good performance by Lamar Jackson, good performance from the team in general, the Baltimore Ravens, and they're this was definitely a big win for them to handle this, because how often is Brady going to lose, you know, 3 games in a row the way he just has. You had to expect him to really come with the fight, and he did for the most part. I mean, they only what was the final score again? It was
27-22. The Ravens
so
obviously had a slow start, came back scoring in the third and fourth quarter and beat Tampa Bay.
yeah. So again, they closed out the game, which has been an issue for them all season thus far, right? Like even last week against the Browns, they closed that game out, but it's not from lack of excitement, right? Like they really made it a nail biter. And it's the same thing here, but luckily they're starting to close things out. So it looks like they're starting to figure it out, which is something they couldn't do earlier in the season against, say, the Bills or the Dolphins. So yeah, this is a huge win for the Ravens and a big confidence booster. And Lamar looked fantastic.
Another huge win. The Ravens get Roquan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Dan was really excited about that one.
Yeah, I mean, he's been saying the linebacker core needs some help, and getting Roquan Smith as a huge addition to this Baltimore team.
Absolutely. Let's move on. I will say I completely forgot there was a game in London as the Broncos
So did I.
beat the Jaguars, and I was like, well, what channel was it on? And I looked and it said ESPN Plus. And I was like, I'm so glad I didn't get up and watch that, because
I mean,
a London game in the morning, the Broncos and the Jaguars, and ESPN Plus. I'm like, I'll just watch the highlights. Thank you.
I mean, I don't have any issues with ESPN Plus. I mean, I have ESPN Plus.
Well, I don't.
The issues that I have are just the Broncos, and they're just not an exciting team. And Russell Wilson is just he's such a tool, man. Like, he just truly, I don't like Russell Wilson. I just don't. I really don't.
Did you see the ending where he was like, Broncos country, let's ride?
Yeah, I want to smack him in the mouth like every time. Like, he's such a corny dude, and just like everybody's starting to catch on to it, and he's just like completely turned from, being kind of a baby face to now being a heel in wrestling terms. So, now he's just become very insufferable.
Yeah, but the Jaguars fall to 2-6 after the loss to the Broncos. I think it's going to be a multi-year retooling process.
Yeah, no, obviously. I mean, again, it's not as if the Jaguars were in a great position to start off with, right?
Yeah.
They have to develop here, and this has to be a long-term plan. They have to have patience here, right? This is only Doug Peterson's first year. Let him implement his plan. This might take 3-4 seasons to really start to see results here. I mean, we already saw they traded for Calvin Ridley. There's another piece right there. They're going to probably draft some key guys, coming up in these upcoming drafts. I mean, you got to let Trevor Lawrence develop. He's got all the talent in the world, but he just hasn't had the right coaching thus far until now with Doug Peterson. So it'll be interesting to see, where this project goes, but you just have to be patient. The Jaguars have to be patient, and they'll see the results.
Moving on to a very crazy game, and I have one person to blame because of the Falcons' 37-34 overtime victory, and that is a man by the name of DJ Moore.
I put the whole blame on him, though.
Yeah, no, I mean,
he definitely deserves blame, but also at the same time, when you really look at what he got called for, he was already out of bounds. He wasn't on the field, and a lot of former refs have come out and said that they would have not have made that call. It was an emotional moment. You let the guy kind of celebrate. He didn't do anything egregious. We've seen defensive players take their helmets off after they've made a big play, like a key interception, run towards the end zone with the rest of the team, do their celebrate, take off their helmets, scream and yell. We saw Stephon Diggs do that after the miracle Minnesota catch, whatever it was called, right? He took off his helmet. He started screaming too. Listen, the ref just got a little too trigger happy, called a dumb foul. But, at the same time, DJ Moore shouldn't have done it, right? He shouldn't have. But at the same time, it's such a rinky-dink foul that it's just like, what the heck? But on top of that, the kicker has got to make the kick. They could have won this game twice. They could have won it with the extra point, and they could have won it with the field goal in overtime. He missed both. So you can't put it all on DJ Moore, but he definitely does deserve the blame because he did put the team in or whatever. He just put himself in a position to get a foul called on him.
I mean, besides that, I just saw that play. I was like, oh my gosh, because this game.
It was insanity. It was insane. PJ Walker, they were just trying to get in position for him to throw the Hail Mary. And then he just goes ahead and does it with like 20 something seconds left, hits DJ Moore perfectly in stride. What were the Falcons defensive backs doing, letting him get behind them? And just, it was an incredible play, and that they should have won the game. The Panthers should have won the game. But unfortunately, the football gods had other ideas, and they ended up losing. And that's just the way football works.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you surprised this game was for first place? I just can't believe that.
I mean, again, the AFC, the NFC South has become the NFC East this season. It's just terrible. It's terrible.
Could we see another team under 500 get into the playoffs?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, listen, the Bucks are still there, and if the Bucks eventually figure it out, they're going to win a bunch of games. They have so much talent on that team. The other three, I'm not sure. If the Bucks don't get it figured out, then yes, we will for sure have an under 500 team, or maybe no, because we can't have a 500 team anymore. Or if anything, it might be just a 9-8 team who makes it. It might be a 7-10. I don't know. I just don't know. This division is so unpredictable right now.
It's crazy. So let's move on. Carlos, I'll let you do most of the speaking on this one, as the Dallas Cowboys defeat the Chicago Bears 49-29. A lot of action. Dak Prescott looked pretty good in this game.
He looked fantastic in this game, and this is the Dak Prescott I hope we get for the rest of the season.
Tony Pollard, 131 yards rushing. What happened to Zeke?
And 3 touchdowns. Yeah, Zeke got injured against Detroit. It was a knee injury. He was
I didn't see that.
Yeah, because he played. I think he played through it. But also we were not watching the games last week. Remember, we were also at the Baltimore game.
That's probably why.
So that's another, because I also did not know that he got hurt that game until later on in the week, where I saw like the news that, hey, like he didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday. I was like, wait, why? And then I had to go back and look. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was, and it looked like he was on his way back, like he was on a positive track towards the end of the week, and where he could maybe possibly play. But I think they kind of learned their lesson from last year, where a hurt Zeke doesn't necessarily really help the team, right? And they decided, hey, if there's any game that Tony Pollard can possibly do well, and it would be against the Chicago defense, who's, they had just traded away, what was his name? Roquan Smith? No.
Roquan Smith.
Yeah, Roquan Smith to Philly. So, like, there was one less guy there. They did still have.
No, I'm
sorry.
Smith
not
went
Roquan Smith.
Baltimore.
No, he went to Baltimore. No, who's the other guy? He was the guy on the defensive line. He escapes me. All I know is he went to Philly.
He escapes. Oh, my gosh.
Look it up while I keep talking.
Yes, I will do that.
But, yeah, they traded, that guy from the defensive line. Kirby's getting his name. And yeah, they decided to give Tony Pollard a shot. He shined, scored 3 touchdowns. Dak Prescott looked fantastic. Our tight ends are great, but our wide receiving core is still kind of a question mark, just because aside from CD and Michael Gallup, none of these other wide receivers really made an impact. But we have to touch on the defense, of course, because the defense really stepped up this game, and they had some adversity because Dallas took the early lead, and then from there Chicago made a comeback because some things happened. CeeDee Lamb, of course, I think is more to blame for that interception than Dak Prescott. He came up a little short on that route. And then, did you get the name yet?
Oh man, I'm looking.
Oh my God, just put in Chicago trade to Philly.
I did that. It didn't work. I'm still looking. Don't worry. I'm getting this name for you all.
Do I have to do? We can't have dead airspace here. So you talk for a little bit. Let me look it up.
Robert Quinn.
Robert Quinn. That's the guy's name. There we go.
It was on the tip of my tongue. I just couldn't realize.
I knew it started with an R. That's why when you said Roquan Smith, I went with it. And I was like, wait, that doesn't sound right though. I was like, didn't we just talk about him? Yeah. Robert Quinn, of course, got traded to Chicago, or not to. She got traded to Philly. But yes, the Dallas defense struggled with the RPO, which they have struggled with before. Mobile quarterbacks are kind of the kryptonite to this defense.
Micah Parsons scored a touchdown.
I'm gonna get there. But yeah, on that fumble, the fact that Justin Fields did not just touch Micah Parsons and jumped clean over him, didn't even touch him, and that the Chicago team then kind of just stood around too, thinking, oh, this play's done. Micah takes off. What do they start doing? They start two-hand touching him, thinking that's going to put him down. And Micah Parsons scores the touchdown. Insanity. Fantastic. He's a beast. Listen, I'm glad we have the bye week coming up. And I'm a little in the middle with the bye week, right? Because Dak just came back. He looked fantastic in this game. You want to keep the momentum going. But we have some guys banged up, mainly Micah Parsons. He's banged up right now, and he needs some time to recover. Anthony Barr is another guy who needs to recover. Anthony Brown is a guy who also needs some help recovering. And then also, it's just time for this team to kind of reevaluate, see, do we go for an Odell Beckham Jr.? Do we go for a Will Fuller? Do we need anybody? We still have James Washington coming back, sooner rather than later. Hopefully with this, not obviously we're on the bye this week, but in that game against Green Bay coming up, does he come back for that? Does that really help the team? Because, Noah Brown is another guy who didn't play in this game. It'll be interesting to see what happens for Chicago. Wasn't a terrible performance. They made it interesting against Dallas. They did. And there was a lot of good highlight or good high points with this team. Justin Fields looked great, aside from his blunder of not touching Micah Parsons.
I still can't get over that one.
It's a tough look. All he literally had to do was just touch him, and he jumped clean over him. Dallas, if you would have told me we were going to finish 6-2 going into the bye, I wouldn't have believed you. I had Dallas 5-3, 4-4 at this point. I did not think we were going to be 6-2 heading into the bye week and going into this Green Bay game in 2 weeks, looking like we're the fiercer team and that there's nothing to be afraid of when it comes to Aaron Rodgers.
Yep. I think with this bye week, it gives Zeke some time to rest up too. So hopefully
there's that factor as well as for why he didn't play. It was like, hey, it'll give him more time to recover, right? Because we need Zeke. We do need Zeke. And, Dan put it, sent a video from ESPN.
Zeke and Pollard. Everybody's talking about that.
To me, again, if it was up to me, I would start Pollard over Zeke because I just feel like Pollard gives us so much more dynamic plays than what Zeke does. But Zeke gives us those tough yards. Zeke gives us great run blocking. They have to implement the 2 running back system. We have to have them both out at the same time. That way we keep these defenses out, on their toes here. and they have to try to figure out who's going to go and factor in Dak Prescott running and using his legs again, because Dak Prescott is a mobile quarterback and he used his legs in this game, and we saw the benefits of it.
Absolutely. So the Cowboys over the Bears 49-29. The next game, the Dolphins in come from behind fashion defeat the Lions 31-27. The Lions choke away yet another lead. But I mean, looking at this Lions team, the early start, they looked really hot. And I was like, could the Lions actually pull this off? And think again, the Dolphins come right back, and Tua throws 3 touchdowns, almost 400 yards passing. It's like, nope, Detroit, sorry, we're going to take this one from you.
Yeah, typical Detroit performance. I really don't have much to say. The Dolphins look fantastic coming back. Detroit's got to they got clearly issues on the defense, and they got to figure those issues out if they want to have any chance of being competitive in the future, because clearly this offense can score and has the ability to do so. They just have to figure out how to close out games, and that's been their biggest issue when it, because think about the close games they've been in when it came to Philly, when it came to really Philly's the only like big game that I can really think of where if they would have just like, they literally just had to close, like if they could have just stopped them and closed it out, they would have won. Yeah, and this is another example. This and the Seattle game. The Seattle game also was another one where if the defense can just make a stop, they can win this game. But the defense has pretty much let Detroit down, has let the offense down. So,
yeah, I agree with that. What's the next game I want to touch on? Man, the Saints shutting out the Raiders 24-0. I don't really have much to say about that one.
No, the only thing I have to say is, man, how brutal for Raiders fans.
Yeah.
And for the AFC West in general. This is supposed to be the division of killers, and the only team that's living up to the hype is the Chiefs thus far. The Chargers are still there, but they have a moronic head coach who can't make the right decisions most of the time. You thought Josh McDaniels was going to do better than, Bisaccia, but it seems like Bisaccia knew this team better than Josh McDaniels ever could. It's incredible to me how this has completely fallen apart, and I just don't get it. I really don't. You have Devontae Adams. Maybe Derek Carr is just not as good as people. I mean, nobody ever claimed Derek Carr was a great quarterback, but how can you not win these games? And I just don't know. I don't know. They have a solid, defense. I want to say, I don't understand the Raiders. I don't. And for New Orleans, it's a good win. Helps them get back on track. They've been sliding a little bit. Yeah, I don't know.
Moving on. The Vikings and the Cardinals. For the Cardinals, it was DeAndre Hopkins' first game back from a suspension, 159 receiving yards.
No, this wasn't his first game back. Was it?
That's what I believe.
Or was
so.
It last week? No, because they played last Thursday. Was it last Thursday?
I heard this was his first game back, unless he played last week. Let me check that just to make sure.
I'm positive he played last week.
Let me see. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was mistaken. He came back last week.
Yeah.
Hopkins put up good numbers. The Cardinals trying to keep it close, but the Minnesota Vikings, in my opinion, they have way too many weapons. Justin Jefferson, 98 yards. Dalvin Cook, 111 yards on the ground with a touchdown, and Kirk Cousins throwing for 2 touchdowns, almost just above 232 yards passing.
Yeah, the Vikings are legit, and it makes that. And I mean, for the Eagles, it makes that win over them look even better because, the Vikings have just really I mean, yeah, this is their division to lose right now.
And the Vikings used to be really bad, so it's
Well,
really
again,
good to see.
it's good. This shows why you sometimes you just got to get a new voice in the room. Getting rid of Mike Zimmer, who just looked lethargic last season, right? Like it proves sometimes to get the best out of these players, you need just a new vision, and it has really worked wonders for the Vikings. And it's good to see that finally there's some sort of parity in that division where Green Bay's not just dominating it. And
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, it'll be, they're 6-1 right now, and it'll be interesting to see how things go. They obviously got a matchup with the Dallas Cowboys here in a couple weeks, so hopefully Dallas can.
That might be a really entertaining matchup to watch.
It will be, especially considering it'll be Justin Jefferson against Diggs, and then it'll be interesting to see how this defense will be able to contain, Thielen and Jefferson and Dalvin Cook too. It'll be interesting to see, and then see how the Dallas offense does against that Minnesota defense.
So the Vikings over the Cardinals 30.
Oh, and on the Cardinals, yeah, just again, Kyler Murray proving once again he's not that guy, and he shouldn't have gotten that big of a contract. I really don't understand it. I just don't think he's good.
34-26 in that matchup. Everybody was raving about how this could be the Jets' year to knock off the Patriots, and they were proven wrong. The Patriots 22-17 over the Jets. I mean, competitive game, close score, but the Patriots, I mean, looking here, Mac Jones, not the best stat line, but they got the job done over this 5-3.
They got the job done because Zach Wilson just is not that guy either, to be honest.
Yeah,
like
if
the Jets had a more competent quarterback than Zach Wilson, they would have won this game. I feel like they win this game, but because they had Zach Wilson, who was literally trying to throw the ball to the Patriots at that point, I mean, yeah, it's not surprising the Patriots ended up winning. Yeah, I mean, listen, the Jets are super talented, but they have lost some guys. There's guys that don't want to be there anymore either. Yeah, I just don't know if the Patriots they just keep finding ways to win.
But the Jets 5-3 up until this point, does it seem legit?
But I don't know. The NFL is so weird this year that I can't tell. The
5-3 Jets team just looks so weird right now.
Okay, yeah, and like you have a 6-2 Giants team that we're just, you just don't know. Who last year both these teams were, the joke of the league. So like it's just like who knows how good these teams really are, but they're winning games, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if they're quote unquote legit or not. If they're in the playoffs, then they're legit, I guess, because they won the games.
Yeah. But the Patriots, going back to your point on the Patriots keep finding ways to win, I think it's Bill Belichick, because he's been with the Patriots forever.
I mean, he keeps figuring it out. That's the thing. And
yeah, and it's not always the best, and he's not perfect by any stretch because they have a 4-4 record. But still, if you have any other head coach in that position, I don't think they do near as good of a job as Bill Belichick does.
I mean, Andy Reid could probably do a good job in that position.
I mean, a top tier head coach. I'm
Andy Reid is a top tier head coach.
I'm
Mike
talking
McCarthy,
about,
I think, might be able to figure it out. Who else could probably figure it out? Let me go through the league here.
I'm just saying you can't throw any head coach.
Figure it out. Pete Carroll could probably. I mean, Pete Carroll's figured it out. I mean, there's plenty of coaches I think could figure it out.
But I just think I just give credit to Bill Belichick in that instance.
Fine. Yeah.
Because the Patriots, I mean, with Mac Jones going out and Bailey Zappi, everybody's like, "Oh, the Patriots might be on a slide," but they managed. And I'm not gonna say Bailey Zappi's like incredible, but they managed.
Tom Brady was a pick 199. Bill Belichick coached that guy to be the GOAT. Let's move on.
Let's move on indeed. The Eagles over the Steelers 35-13. I really
Who
don't.
cares? The Eagles are legit. Let's move on.
Yes, the Eagles are legit. Let's see what else is on our hurry up offense, as always brought to you by Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services. Okay. Let's get into the late window. The Commanders over the Colts 17-16. Your thoughts on that, Carlos?
The legend of Taylor Heineke continues to surprise everyone.
The legend of Taylor Heineke. Unreal. In Terry McLaurin's own city.
Yeah, that was an incredible throw and an incredible catch by Terry McLaurin at the end. That was fantastic.
Makes that contract worth
It's so crazy how just you just get this feeling with Taylor Heineke that like he's just, and I was saying it during that last drive, he's not going to make the boneheaded decision that Carson Wentz will make, right? He's not going to, he'll tuck the ball, he'll run it. He'll make the high percentage pass, like the short little dunk just to get yards. He's not going to try to force it, right? Now, let's be honest, that throw to Terry McLaurin was forced, but it was a very calculated force, right? Because like you trust in Terry McLaurin that, you know, he got paid all this money. He should be able to win those types of ball. And he went up there and he did it. And just, you kind of find yourself really rooting for Taylor Heineke because you're just yes, Carson Wentz is terrible. Yes, Taylor Heineke, yes. It's insanity that like I will literally find myself being like, all right, Taylor Heineke, let's go. Well, and then if Carson Wentz is playing, I'm just like, man, I hope he fails so bad.
I'm not sure how much of that game you watched, but yeah, I could see clearly on the TV how fast Taylor Heineke's feet were moving when he was getting forced out of the pocket. I was like, man, that's like elusiveness, and it's something Carson Wentz I don't think has. And everybody is now saying Taylor Heineke needs to roll with this team the rest of the way. And I feel like if Carson Wentz gets put back in after he comes back healthy, Washington is screwing up and making another wrong decision. But
well, I mean, I guess it would depend, right? Like how the rest, if Taylor Heineke's just if this team is winning, right? Which right now they are, what are they now?
4-4, 500,
right? 500. I mean, again, they're still in the playoff hunt. Like Washington's still in the playoff hunt. Now, I mean, don't get your hopes up, right? Don't get your hopes up too high. But, you know, like they're still in the playoff hunt. Let's say these next few weeks, right? Because Carson's not going to be back for another, because it's pretty much the same injury Dak had. It took Dak 6 weeks to come back, right? Let's say it takes 6 weeks for Carson Wentz to come back. Let's say Washington goes 5-1 during that time. Or, you know, right now they're 2-0 since he's hurt it. So let's say in the next 3 games they go 2-1, right? Or something like that. I'm not entirely sure who's left on the Commanders' schedule coming up, but I mean, the Commanders had one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. So, but let's say this team is just, they're rolling. They're looking good with Taylor Heineke. You can't take him out. You know, it was one thing for Dallas to take Cooper Rush out, right? Because we knew Dak Prescott was significantly better, and we were very limited with Cooper Rush. But what we were limited to, luckily we were able to win games, and then also we had a stout defense. With Washington, that's not necessarily the case in terms of the quarterback situation, right? Because it's not like Carson Wentz's arms and legs above Taylor Heineke, because Taylor Heineke's come in and beaten Green Bay. He came out and beat Indianapolis, who, you know, are a scrappy team, even though they're kind of a letdown, right? You know, they're a pretty boring team to watch, but they're scrappy. They beat the Chiefs. I mean, yeah, for me, I would agree. Them bringing in Carson Wentz is a mistake, because it's clear Carson Wentz just, ever since he got hurt, that season, where they won the Super Bowl, he just never has been the same, and he's never gotten back to that level of play. And he keeps trying to be that guy, but he's not that guy anymore. And he keeps making boneheaded mistakes that Taylor Heineke, while a gunslinger, does not make those dumb decisions. So I would agree with you, Kirby, that putting in Carson Wentz over Taylor Heineke, it was probably a very big mistake.
If they stay on track, because with the Commanders, you never know. On the other side of football, Sam Ellinger's first game as a starter,
he looked good in the second half, that's for sure.
Well, they fumbled the ball twice or three times. I mean, Ellinger, I think, lost the ball twice, and Taylor lost the ball once. So the ball handling issues for Indianapolis, they need to clean that up.
Yeah.
But other than that, the Commanders, what a win. And that was a stadium where Terry McLaurin won multiple state championships for his high school and won a couple conference championships for Ohio State. So he's well familiar with Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis as he grew up there. So he apparently he set aside like 70 tickets for his family and friends, and everybody was just so proud of Terry. So Commanders 17, the Colts 16. The next game I would like to discuss, the San Francisco 49ers always find a way
and
to
took over SoFi Stadium. They took over. Whose house? Whose house? It ain't the Rams' house. It's the Niners' house.
It's like the West Coast version of FedEx Field in terms of the fans.
Yeah.
In terms of the fans.
No. I
because
agree.
That stadium looks pretty darn nice.
No. I agree with you.
But in the regular season, the 49ers always find a way to beat
They're
the
what,
Rams.
10-0 in the last 10 matchups?
I think
like
so.
That? I think it's 10-0. I mean, of course, the Rams beat them in the NFC Championship last year, right? But in the regular season, the Niners just have the Rams number. But the Rams also, and now they might be in more trouble because it looks like Cooper Kupp got hurt. They are not that. I mean, this Super Bowl hangover is hitting them hard. I think they just lost too much, and they gave away so much capital that this is the price that they had to pay, right? And we talked about it last season. They went all in for last season, and I think, now they're kind of seeing the effects of what happens when you go all in. You mortgage your future. You mortgage your ability to be able to continue to be a competitive team, right? The Bucks are a different case. They have this guru who knows how to manipulate the cap, but what the Rams gave up to be able to do this, to do what they did last year to win the Super Bowl. I mean, it just can't. It's just too much to overcome consistently and be able to kind of kick the can down the road. They just couldn't, and it's really biting them in the butt. As for the 49ers, I mean, Christian McCaffrey doing the triple crown. He runs, catches, and throws a touchdown. I think he's only like the third player ever to do so.
Since 2006, the last person to do that? LaDainian Tomlinson.
There you go. But yeah, fantastic. A great bounce back game from obviously that Kansas City game where Kansas City completely crushed them. Yeah. I mean, again, this is the Jimmy G experience, right? You're going to have ups and downs, right? You're going to win some games. You're going to lose some games. You're going to win games that you don't expect to win. And you're going to lose games that, you don't expect to lose. But if it's Jimmy G against the Rams, you put your money on Jimmy G.
So I was thinking about this too. Up until this point, what if Trey Lance was still healthy? Do you think the 49ers would be in this position still?
I don't know. We did not get enough of Trey Lance to really be able to see what he was about, right? We got the one game against Chicago, which was a monsoon. So you didn't really get to really see it. Then you got a quarter of that second game against, I don't remember who it was they were facing at the time, where he broke his ankle the same way Dak Prescott pretty much broke it. And so I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you how this team would be doing with Trey Lance as quarterback at this point. I just couldn't tell you.
Two takeaways that I'll take away from the 49ers is, thank God once again they did not trade away Jimmy Garoppolo and Christian McCaffrey. He's like a different running back.
He's reinvigorated.
Absolutely.
I think things got pretty stale in Carolina.
Absolutely.
And I think he's finally with a head coach who really understands how to use a running back, because I don't believe the head coach. I mean, Matt Rule didn't know how to use him. And also he struggled to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, he's usually a pretty decent running back, right? He has to stay healthy. And I think, and also on top of that, he needs a coach that knows how to use him. And I think he finally has that with Kyle Shanahan.
Absolutely. Moving on, the next game on our list, the Titans defeat the Texans 17-10. And if you look here and you see Malik Willis's stat line as Ryan Tannehill was injured,
it was not good.
It was not good, and the Texans still lost by 7 points. Yeah, key in part to Derrick Henry with 219 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's the thing. You still have Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's still a beast, and he's in prime form right now. But yeah, I really don't know how this Malik Willis thing is going to work. He did not look good. He's still, I mean, he's only a rookie, you know. What do you really expect?
Give him a little bit of grace. Against the Texans.
Yeah, but he's a raw talent, right? Like, he didn't go to a big school. He went to Liberty, you know. It's not like he's coming out of a QB factory type school, right?
Yeah.
He's a raw talent, much like how Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen were raw talents coming out of college, right? And now look, they're the two best quarterbacks in the league. Again, there's my Patrick Mahomes reference. Yeah, so you got to give him some time. You know, Vrabel's a good enough coach that he can figure it out with a quarterback who can't really do much right now, right? And Tannehill comes back next week in that important game against the Chiefs. So good win for them. What is their 5th straight win, I believe, for the Titans? And
yes, it looks like it.
Yeah, and so, you know, great bounce back. It looks like they're going to probably win the AFC South because the Colts are just a disaster, and so is the rest of the division. So yeah, not much to say there. And for the Texans, you know, we knew that they weren't going to be a great team, but we know they're a scrappy team, right? They're gonna make it interesting, but they're probably not going to win.
Wrapping things up here on the Hurry Up Offense, brought to you each and every week by Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services. We have the Seahawks defeating the Giants 27-13, and Geno Smith still looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, what a career resurgence from that.
What a bounce back. Yeah, Geno Smith defeated both the teams so far that he has been on. I think one of the sports outlets posted on social media is the Geno Smith Revenge Tour.
Sure. I mean, I guess that would make sense because obviously he went from the Jets to the Giants, and then from the Giants he went to Seattle, I believe is how it went. Yeah, I mean, they beat the Broncos week 1. And everybody was like, oh, that's it. You know, that was the important thing, that now they're going to, you know, probably lose every other game. But I think what people have totally forgotten is that this team was also stacked. And it really shows how much Russell Wilson was limiting the possibilities of this team. And I just think Pete Carroll, this is the team he wanted. He wanted a guy with no ego, right? Geno Smith has no ego, because how could he have an ego with the career he's had, right?
Yeah.
So he's just a humble dude who's just out here just trying to win football games and doesn't care about the image of it the way, you know, one Russell Wilson does in that tool bag. Yeah. They're a fun team to watch, surprisingly, right? Seattle's fun to watch. For the Giants, tough loss. But, you know, they're still 6-2. You you know?
Absolutely.
And you're going up to Seattle. That's a tough place to play. And it seems like the fan base is really behind the Seattle team. And the Giants have nothing to, they've been playing great football all season thus far. And you're going to lose some games here and there. So no shame in losing. I don't really have any gripes against the Giants. And yeah, for Seattle, good for them. I mean, they're competing for a playoff spot and they very well could win it. That game against San Francisco coming up in Seattle, that's going to be an intense one.
Moving on to Sunday Night Football, as nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
No, the Buffalo Bills looked very good.
Aaron Rodgers the Packers, on the other hand.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The Packers, again, Rodgers did it to himself. He wanted that big contract, and what happens when you get a big contract like that and you take that much of salary cap, you're going to lose some players, and that means you lost Devontae Adams, and that's clearly been the biggest issue. He doesn't have any good wide receivers that he trusts.
Yeah, I think they're spiraling downhill very quickly. And
it'll be interesting to see what happens, right? It's not as if the Packers haven't ever been in this position before. I believe their Super Bowl season, they were 4-6 at one point, and then they just went on a 6-game run where they won every game, and then they just went on to win the Super Bowl. So it's not out of the question that they can turn this around, right? It's just a matter of, is Aaron Rodgers really in that position? Do they have that team that they had that year when they won the Super Bowl? I just don't know. But for the Bills, I mean, yeah, this is what the Bills should do. It was a primetime game at their home stadium. And, they had to, they got to put teams like Green Bay away, and they did. And they're a scary team. And like I've been saying all year long, they're on a collision course to face the Chiefs, and that's going to be the winner of the Super Bowl.
And undisciplined Packers player pushing a practice squad player on the sideline. Saw that, I was like, wow. And I just,
he got ejected, so he got punished. So we don't really have to harp on that for too long. Let's move on.
I saw that, I was like, why do you do that? It looked like the guy was helping him, but that was the one thing I noticed. I looked up after looking at a stat on my phone. I was like, wait, what just happened? I was like, But the Packers have a lot of work to do, and the Bills are on a roll, 6-1. The last and final matchup, how the Browns defeated the Bengals 32-13 in a battle of two Ohio teams.
It shows how important Jamar Chase is to the Cincinnati offense.
Absolutely. You hit the nail.
That's all I really have to say, to be honest. I don't really have much to say on the Browns.
You hit the nail on the head there. But I don't know. Maybe this is just once Jamar Chase comes back, the Bengals could be looking better. I don't really know, but I guess a good win for the Browns there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. That has been the Hurry Up Offense, brought to you in each and every week by Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services. That is the Swiss Army knife. Carlos Martinez. I am Josh Kirby. We'll be back with more right after this.
Hey, sports fans. Thank you for listening to and supporting the Kirby on Sports podcast with founder and host Josh Kirby, along with lead contributor Dan Dembski. Like, subscribe, and give them a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast from. My name is Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation. Our company helps leaders build engaged and productive teams. Exclusively for listeners of the Kirby on Sports podcast, you can take an opportunity to discover your primary communication style and learn more about effective communication with others. Text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free copy of the Working From Home Communication Assessment, where you'll learn your primary communication style, how to better communicate with others not like you, and tips on working remotely based on your personal communication style. 10 minutes, tons of resources. Learn about yourself and your team. Again, text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free assessment report today. I'm Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, where we help you and your team be more engaged and productive by understanding each other better. Back to you, Josh.
Welcome back to the Kirby on Sports podcast.
Hold on. Breaking news. The college football rankings have officially come out. The first ones of the year. Kirby, who do you think is the number? This is not old news. No.
It's not? When did it come out?
It just came out.
Oh,
not
really?
the AP, the like college football playoff rankings. Don't look it up. Look it up.
Okay.
Just tell me who you think is number one.
Don't
look it up. Don't look it up. Look at me. Look at the camera.
Don't look it up. I thought you said look it up.
Don't look it up.
Okay.
Who do you think is number one?
Hendon Hooker's Tennessee Volunteers.
Fantastic choice. You are correct. The number one team.
Yeah, because I saw that before we started recording.
Oh, well,
I guess it wasn't.
Oh, maybe it's not old news. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, they're number one. Congratulations, Tennessee, number one.
You know, because they beat Alabama. Somebody else has to get number one, Carlos. Somebody else other than Alabama,
but
for
they're
crying
probably
out
going to lose
loud.
to Georgia this week, so it'll be short-lived.
Wait, what?
They're probably going to lose to Georgia this week, so it'll be short-lived.
Who?
Tennessee.
Anybody but Alabama, Carlos.
That means Alabama's going to get back in. They're going to get back in. We already know how this works.
Yeah, we already do it. But yeah, you know, there's goalposts are resting softly at the bottom of the river in Knoxville, Tennessee. But you know how it goes. Carlos, we're implementing sort of a new segment I would like for you to explain so I don't screw it up and botch the explanation. So go ahead, my friend.
Okay, so we're just doing a little segment of, you know, if the playoffs started today, what team or you know, we have teams that are in the playoffs right now, right? Like if the playoffs started today, do we think that the teams that would be in the playoffs today are going to be the same teams that are in the playoffs at the end of the season? So the way it goes right now in the AFC, the number one seed would be Buffalo. The number two seed, hold on. Let me tell the whole list. Number one will be Buffalo. The number two seed would be Tennessee. The number three seed would be Kansas City. The number four seed would be Baltimore. Number five seed would be New York. Number six would be Miami. And number seven would be the Los Angeles Chargers. On the NFC side, the number one seed would be, of course, the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. The number two seed would be the Minnesota Vikings. The number three seed would be the Seattle Seahawks. The number four seed would be the Atlanta Falcons. The number five seed would be the Dallas Cowboys. The number six seed would be the New York Giants. And the number seven seed would be the San Francisco 49ers. So if the playoffs started today, it would be a rematch between the Seahawks and the Giants. But so, I mean, I guess let's go through it. I think we're both in agreement that on the AFC side, Buffalo is for sure in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was kidding about earlier. They're a definite lock.
Yeah, for sure. What about Tennessee?
Tennessee
I say yes, they're going to be the division winner. So they're for sure. I think they're in.
Yeah,
I don't think Indianapolis is going to make a comeback. Jacksonville's not in it.
Yeah, you have a good point there. Yeah, they're going to be in.
Kansas City's going to be in. We don't have to debate that.
Yeah, we don't have to debate the home of the Chiefs.
Baltimore. I say yes. The question is, are they going to be a wild card or a division winner? It just depends on how far the Bengals. I think yes as the division winner.
I'm going to say yes as a wild card.
Okay. The New York Jets.
As of right now.
The New York Jets.
I think the Jets are. Yeah,
I don't think they're going to be in. I don't think so.
No, I'm not buying the Jets right now.
Not yet.
That could change though.
The Miami Dolphins. I think the Miami Dolphins will be in.
I could see them as a wild card.
I agree because obviously, I mean, they would have to be a wild card because the Bills would be the division winner. And finally, the Los Angeles Chargers.
Out.
I think in, but at where they are, I think they'll be the 7th seed. No, nothing. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, the Charger, like you said, their coach has been. The Chargers
Questionable.
have a lot of potential that I don't think they're using properly, and
Agreed.
I
And
mean,
they're also getting they've been getting hit by the injury bug.
correct that too. I just don't think. I think the Chargers get upset and they're like the last man out or something.
It's possible that it happens to them again.
It happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I see it as we come so far here. So
Mm-hmm. All right. So the NFC side, I think we also agree Philly will probably be in.
correct.
Now, are they the division winners? Dallas is still lurking. So is New York. They're only 2 games behind them.
I'll go out on a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a Sunday night flex. No, wait, that can't work. No.
Yeah, no, because are we talking about for the last game of the season?
Yeah, I was going to
Last
say
game
that.
of the
Then I
season is
realized,
Washington, Dallas.
no, yeah. So no, yeah. So that can't work. So I guess there's no Sunday night flex to determine the winner of the NFC East. I think it comes down to a game or two, between Dallas and Philly,
Mm-hmm.
and that's tough. That's really tough.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, I'd say Philly.
Okay.
And I'm not
That's
discrediting.
fair. No, that's fair. That's a fair point. Because
And I'm not discrediting what Dallas has done, but as I see the chips fall right now, I feel like Philadelphia is the slight favorite for division winner.
that's fine. Yeah, no, I'm not going to argue with you on that. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a tall task for Dallas to kind of catch up, right?
But they
I mean,
could do it.
they could do it, right? But what they would need is for the Eagles to slip up, and the Eagles have a pretty cupcake schedule coming up, and the only team that can really stop them is Dallas and possibly New York when they play New York. So maybe that'll help if those matchups happen, and they get the W over Philly. But who knows? All right, let's go to number 2, Minnesota. I think Minnesota will be in.
Yeah, they're in.
No
doubt about it.
Number 3, Seattle. Do you think Seattle stays in the playoffs?
I'd go 50-50 there. Because, yeah, Geno Smith's looking good, but come week 13, 14, 15, are the Seahawks going to be in the same position? That I just can't say for sure. Because Geno's been like a dedicated backup for so long. You don't know if there's a game where he could slide 3 or 4 and they drop a couple straight and affects their playoff positioning. As of right now, I would say up for further debate at a later date that the Seahawks would be out.
I think the Seahawks will be in, but I think they'll be the wild card team.
I could see that too.
I don't think they'll be the division winners. I don't think they'll be the number 3 seed, but I think they'll be a wild card team for sure. All right, moving on, the Atlanta Falcons. No. This is going to be the interesting one. I also do not believe, but it's just like, who else? I mean, if it's not the Falcons, it would have to be because Tampa Bay figures it out.
They could easily do that.
Who knows? It just who knows, right? Like again, the NFC South is so weird.
I know. Like you said, the NFC East of last year.
I mean, I don't think of last year. Of
2020 or whenever that
was. 2020 when the whole division was just like, here, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. I don't want it. Yeah, pretty much. All right. I think we both will agree Dallas will probably be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so.
The New York Giants.
Yeah, I'm going to put the Giants in as a wild card.
Well, they would have to be a wild card because either Dallas or Philly would probably win the division.
Yeah.
And the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, I think 49ers will be in. I think they're going to be the division winners.
I say in.
They'll be the division winners, and then I think Seattle will be the other team. And then Tampa Bay, and I think that'll probably be the playoffs right there.
Did you see the one stat that the NFC East could potentially have 4 teams out of their division?
But that depends on Washington, right? Washington has to pretty much win out.
Contingent on Washington, yes. But
so it's very possible.
Happens, that would be insane. 4 teams from the same division.
Well, it would be insane because a lot of people had it that the AFC West was going to be that division this year, right? A lot of people thought that they were going to be the 4 team. We thought so also.
And we see what happened there.
They have completely not lived up to the hype aside, again, from the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree with that, but it would be very interesting to see a 4-team division come out with all playoff teams there. So that's just my take, but pretty good segment right there. I think the AFC is more solidified than the NFC though.
I disagree. I think the NFC is more solidified because when you really think about it, how many teams did we really change over from the NFC? We just said the Falcons are probably the only team that's really out. Everybody else, we were like, oh no, I think they're in. The AFC, we were like, oh, the Chargers might be out. The Jets might be out. Miami and I don't know who else, right? Like I think there's a little more uncertainty on the AFC side in terms of like who's going to be the wild card teams, and I think on the NFC side, it's more of we have what teams are probably going to be in, and it's just a question. And maybe it's the same deal. It's the last 2 who we just haven't figured out yet.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there as well. But pretty fun segment as we dove in to try to predict if the teams that are in the playoffs now will be on that path come the last week of the regular season. This is the Kirby on Sports podcast, and we'll be back to wrap things up right after this.
Hey there, this is Mark Francis of Icon Real Estate. If you have any real estate needs in the Winchester surrounding area, including West Virginia, give me a call. I've got extensive experience, been in the business for almost 20 years, and would love to help you out. Track me down at Icon Real Estate, iconsells.com, or even give me a call, 540-247-1527. Again, Icon Sells, ICONSELLS.com, and I would love to chat with you and help you out. Give me a call.
Welcome back. The Kirby on Sports podcast with the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez. I am Josh Kirby. Carlos, what are you looking out for this week, my friend?
Well, my first thing I'm looking out for is not football related. Saturday at a special start time of noon, live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, is the tribal chief Roman Reigns, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, taking on the outsider, the man who has no business being in that ring with the GOAT, Logan Paul, challenging for the title. I will be looking forward to watching that on Saturday, along with the many other matches.
Speaking of, Anderson Silva lost.
Yeah, Anderson Silva's old.
What did you think of that?
I didn't watch the fight.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No.
Well, I didn't either, but I
care about Jake Paul enough to watch that fight. And also, it's not like we're talking about prime Anderson Silva.
Yeah, I guess Anderson Silva is getting up there in age, but
he's almost 50.
Yeah.
Anyways. In terms of on a football sense, of course, I am looking forward to that Tennessee-Georgia game also Saturday. But for NFL Sunday, I mean, only one of my teams is playing this week, so it'll probably be Chiefs-Titans.
That might be a good matchup.
Maybe.
I think it could live up to a pretty big hype and go back and forth. I'm looking out for the Vikings Commanders. I'll be in attendance. That will be on my birthday. So going with 15 other people. Most of them are Vikings fans. So every time the Vikings come to town, we get together and go watch the game. So it's always a fun thing to do. We'll be tailgating, having fun, and it's just a great atmosphere. And I mean,
Debatable. Debatable on the great atmosphere. I mean, I guess when you're hanging out with you're hanging out with
let me
your
rephrase. Let me
no, no,
rephrase.
no. I think I understand. It's gonna be a great atmosphere with the people you're with.
Correct, in the tailgating.
Yeah.
But yes, the fan experience and stuff. I'm
We
not.
already know. We
I'm
already know.
not expecting a Ravens walk like we
Yeah,
did 2
we
weeks
already
ago.
know. But again, it's also the experience is also about who you're with too, right? And if you guys are gonna be
Correct.
tailgating, it's gonna be on your birthday. You're gonna have a great time. You're gonna be with family. You're gonna be with friends. Like that's all that matters, right? Like it, and that's it. And hopefully, you're gonna get treated to a good game of football while you're there.
I'm hoping, but the Vikings are really scaring me right now. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Who knows? Maybe the legend of Taylor Heineke is gonna strike again.
Who knows? But that about wraps it up for the Kirby on Sports podcast. Carlos, as always, really appreciate you and your time and your contributions to this wonderful podcast. We have the opportunity to record each and every week. And obviously, Dan Dembski not here. We wish him all the best, and hopefully we will be seeing him soon. My friend, appreciate you.
I don't know what you wanted me to say there. I did it. You're welcome. I guess I didn't know what to. That's why
I
I
was
say. I
giving
was
the
like, I don't know
floor
what
to
to
you
say.
just in case. I was giving the floor to
Missy
you.
Day,
just
can't wait
in
to
case.
see you again.
Oh,
What else do you want me to say?
okay, we got to get out of here. For our sponsors, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, Mark Francis, with Icon Real Estate and Barrett Pest and Termite Services. Without our sponsors, the Kirby on Sports podcast would not be where it is today. Big thanks to everybody for tuning in. You can find us on all streaming platforms and all social media platforms. www.kirbyonsports.com. Until the next time you hear us or see us, always remember to create greatness. And we say so long and peace out.